Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Whatever This Is podcast. Just as I've started recording, it's very late here, and there's still someone banging. I don't know what they're doing, if it's construction or what. But always this happens when we start recording. Someone has to mess it up, and it's happened again. But welcome back to another episode. Hope you're doing well. Hope all of you guys are doing well. Thanks a lot for your support on our last video. We had like really good in terms of views and stuff. Thanks to Stefano and Richard, our two guests. This week we're recording a bit later than usual, but I'm joined again by two people. One is, of course, my usual co-host, Mystic Mac, Artem. Artem, how you doing? What's up?
What's
And
up, G?
this is our Friday night plan, by the way. I've just
This
realized that.
this is the Friday night plan. I'm quite disappointed. Last week I opened it with Hindi, and you did promise me you were going to open it with
I
Russian,
did. Oh
but
my god, my bad, man, my bad. I was gonna open it with Russian, but I sadly forgot. I will do something better next week, though. Another guest, we have a new guest here. We have a representative from the Kenyan football, African football community. We have a representative. He also co-represents Turkish football. He knows a lot of different leagues and countries. He is also a football Twitter member. It's our first guest from the realms of football Twitter. We are joined by Patrick Toussaint. I hope I pronounced that right, Patrick. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. The pronunciation will pass.
That's good enough. See, it's good enough. So right now we have an Indian, an Irishman who is also Russian, and we have a Kenyan on the podcast. So we are truly worldwide. Um,
that's big. Like I think we should start making a map of all the countries we've had on the podcast. All the countries we've had represented.
I think we've had what, three continents now? This is the third
Oh,
continent.
we should know. Hardly. It's been more than three continents. We have three continents in this.
There's only seven continents. We haven't had anyone from Antarctica or
We've had
Australia.
someone from the US.
Who have we had from the US?
Leon.
I mean, okay, that's fair. I guess he was on the stream though. He wasn't on the pod. But
Ah, it counts. It counts. It counts.
all right, it counts. So anyway, let's talk to our new guest for a little bit. Junior, how much do you know about
Yeah.
Russian football? By the way,
Not too
sorry, cut you off. Junior is Patrick's nickname. That's what he goes on football Twitter. And by the way, Junior, tell us about your Twitter acts as well, where the people can follow you. Let's start with that straight away, and your introduction to Russian football, how much you know, and so on.
My ad is Junho Patricio um, on Twitter. I- You have a bit of a beef with Twitter's support. My accounts keep getting locked, but working on having a stable one. I think I don't really know that much about Russian football. I do follow the clubs mostly in European competitions, and I try to follow the few Turks who play in Russia. I think it's only been Karadeniz from Rubin.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
Karadeniz
that's
and Caner Erkin as well, I think, played there for CSK.
Janet, I believe.
Yeah, back in the day. Um, you are a Real Madrid fan as well, by the way. I forgot to mention that. There are now two Real Madrid fans on this podcast, Artem. So, and
I'm outnumbered.
yeah, you are outnumbered. You're gonna get ambushed. And Junior also supports Marseille and like five other clubs. But someone made a joke on Twitter that he supports so many clubs that the one that causes him the most pain is Real Madrid, which is very accurate. As a Real Madrid fan, I can vouch for that. But let's get started with go on, Artem. On.
No, I was just gonna say, I'm not gonna lie, like Junior, I haven't come across you before until Hanu told me you were coming on this podcast. But I had a look at your Twitter and I've already laughed about three times at your timeline. So whoever for anybody looking for a good account to follow, give them one. So
Thanks, I really appreciate that.
Yeah, and we're gonna have a good time. So, right, Artem, we're in the winter break. Officially, we are in the winter break.
fuck. You know what? A blockbuster game to finish off the season.
Yeah, see, it was Tambov Ural. Tambov and Ural Junior are the who's the deadest team in the Turkish league? There's too many of them anyway, but still.
It's far too many. I think Tambov Ural would be perhaps the equivalent of something like Ankara, the capital clubs, the two capital clubs right now. Both of them struggling. Yes, I
Right.
think that
So
would be.
it's pretty dead from you can tell. But we have had a few really good games. The last time we recorded, of course, it was just after I think the final European match day or something. I don't even know at this point. But on match day 18, we had a few games. CSK dropped points again. Krasnodar absolutely hammered Lokomotiv. Zenit beat Dinamo. Spartak lost to Sochi. And by the way, before we get into football, we have a couple of things to just shout out. First of all, check out this interview we at RFN did with Noboa. Great interview. Big shout out to Noboa for coming on. He's, I think, still the top scorer in the league or second. What a man. Check that out as well. And secondly, check out this article that our man Ilya wrote about Russian football journalists, who everyone at RFN likes, who everyone at RFN doesn't like. It's a hilarious article and it's done pretty well, so go give that a shout as well. Um, Artem, do you remember watching any games from this match day 18?
Match day 18. Right. I remember watching. I think I watched Krasnodar against Lokomotiv because I can vividly remember being like, "What the fuck?" And maybe I just watched the highlights, but like that's apart from that, I can't remember anything. What about you?
I can't remember much either. I remember Sochi beating Spartak. I slightly remember Zenit beating Dinamo. Krasnodar
Oh, you
5
know what?
0.
You know, I remember. No, never mind. I don't remember that game. I'm mixing up Zenit Spartak with Zenit Dinamo.
That's fair. Krasnodar 5-0 Loko was a mad one.
Hilarious, by the way.
Hilarious as well. What do you think? What do you think was up with Loco? They signed a player, by the way. They made like the first major transfer of this window. They signed a guy from Torpedo, who are in the second division. But what do you think is going wrong with Loco?
I saw that. Yeah, you know, I'm kind of glad we're starting with Loko because you know, anybody coming back from last week, any
Yeah,
of Stefano's followers that are listening to the podcast now, welcome back. We'll start with your club, and we've got nothing good to say. You've had an awful week, like in every sense of those words. You first lost to Krasnodar, and then you lost to Khimki. Krasnodar not only beat you, but they beat you 5-0. That is embarrassing, to say the least.
it is
Like
embarrassing.
I was shocked when I heard that. Like I thought Krasnodar were going to get a draw at best. That's ridiculous.
I mean, it is because Lokomotiv usually tend to show up in the big games, and this time they just didn't. Even in this Khimki game, they had zero shots on target in the zero shots at all in the second half against Khimki, who by the way are the Russian AC Milan. Artem said it first, and now they're actually playing like that.
This
They've
yeah, for anybody who doesn't know, they're second in the table of form over
with
10
form, yeah, like
games.
that's a bit mad. They've beaten like almost every big club. They've taken points of mad clubs. So that's pretty big. So you know what, Junio, you said, I mean, like to you from an outsider's perspective, right? From the few games you watched or whatever, what club do you think looks to be the best in Russia? And like, yeah, that's the question. That's my first question, I guess. Who is? Do you guys hear that construction? By the way,
Yeah, you can hear it.
why is it going on this late? But anyway, what are your thoughts on Russian football as a whole? And like, which team has struck out to you to be the best? And so far, from whatever you've watched.
Before I can answer that, I think I actually do have something to say about Lokomotiv. I noticed they bought François Camano from Bordeaux. I think it was 7 million.
Yeah, worst signing of
And
the season, by the way. Number one.
it is signing that kind of surprised me in a way. I didn't exactly see them. I didn't see why they would go for someone like Camano. He's always been a bit on and off. In France, there's a season where he hit double digits, but quite a number of them were penalties, and he never really
Got going.
shown as kind of guy that takes a football club to the next level. And
Right.
if anything, I saw most of his career from Bordeaux kind of going back downwards in a way, not exactly moving to a club that was in the Champions League or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I don't exactly know if he was the intended replacement for Alexei, but if he was, then that is a really, really huge flop.
It really is. And he's, by the way, I think he's played like 12 or 13 games and he's got 0 goals, 0 assists. And it's just he's that bad. He's not even had like a penalty or like just a terrible like side foot assist. And it cost them 6 million. He's clearly not worked out. How do you think Miranchuk has done so far though at Atlanta? Because I mean, Gasperini is an idiot. He's not giving him too many chances. Even if Gomez is fighting with the club, he's still coming on as a sub. But how do you think Miranchuk is going to do over there in Italy?
I actually hoped he would have started the game against Juve, seeing as with all the issues going on. But I was surprised that he didn't start. And I think going forward, we talked about this on Twitter, I think, where the coach likes his players to kind of earn their spot in the team, and he's expecting must be expecting the same of Alexei. And it is disappointing for a fan of him to kind of see him on the bench, and he comes on, he scores or plays well, and then the next game he's
Benched
back on the
again.
bench.
Yeah.
Yeah, or he has had a bit of a lack of chance, I guess, with injuries, and I think he also got COVID a while back. So yeah, it has been a bit frustrating, and I really do hope 2021 has sort of becomes his. Yeah, if Gomez does eventually leave, I think he'd be the absolute perfect person to slot into that 10 role
Yeah.
behind.
Especially as like Ilicic hasn't been that good since he came back after being cheated on, has he? Like he's not
Uh,
fully been the player that he was, which is sad by the way. It's not that funny, but I mean, I hope Alexei Miranchuk does get his chance. And Artem, I'm going to come back to you by the way. We had a sort of a mailbag segment, which I'm going to bring up on the screen right now, and we basically asked people to
Are we
send
just
in their.
finished with the league?
No, we're not finished with the league. We're going to come back to the league. But since
All
we're on the
right.
Miranchuks, right?
Oh, right. Okay.
Petrosian Ter, Uzbek football fan, good account by the way about Uzbek football. He says that Anton is the more important Miranchuk brother for club and country. What do you think, Artem? What's your take on this matter?
I mean, he's the more important player for Lokomotiv now because Alexei's gone. Right. That's the only reason. For country, I actually kind of agree with that. Anton Miranchuk has played a lot better for Russia. I don't honestly know their stats, but like
Exactly.
I can remember in recent history Anton playing a big role in a lot of games and scoring goals and things like that, and Alexei just hasn't done that. So I can kind of see the argument for the national team, but it's not true at Lokomotiv. At any point really. There was a season where they kind of went head to head in goals
Mhm.
and assists. I think at one point it was like Alexei had like, I'm making these figures up, but there was something like that. 2 goals, or sorry, two goals and 11 assists, and Anton had the opposite, 11 goals and 2 assists or something stupid like that.
Right.
But no, I think Alexei was always the main man for Lokomotiv, and the national team. I can see the argument.
That's fair. Um, I don't know if I agree. Honestly, you know what? I can't. They're like the same player to me, honestly. So I can't tell you any of their stats or anything. But clearly,
You just
I'd
can't
look
tell them apart in pictures. That's the only reason.
exactly right. So, but I do think Alexi will become very important for Atlanta. Like on the surface, this just seems like a really egregious take, doesn't it? But then when you look at it, I guess he's not wrong. He's not wrong. Um, Moving on to the Russian Premier League, Artem.
Moving
Zenit
on.
Zenit beat Spartak. Did you
Yeah,
watch this game?
I
And
didn't. I didn't, but I saw the goals, and All I can say is it was really 4-0.
Yeah. Oh my God, I completely forgot. All right. Gee, thank you for reminding
I
me.
can't believe you
Thank
almost
you.
forgot. It was the goal of the season. It's the
That,
Pushcast 2020.
all right. Okay. See, now I'm fired up. Now I am fired up. I'm fired up now. Okay. Dejan Lovren. Junior knows this if he's listened to the podcast. Junior knows Lovren is trash as well. I'm sure he does. Junior, do you think
Yeah,
Lovren is trash?
all too well.
Good. There you go. So for months I have come on this podcast, Artem, and I've told you that Lovren isn't worth 12 million, that he's not going to be a significant improvement to whatever we have at the back. I've told you that we could have spent that money better, and I've told you that he's Lovren. At the end of the day, he does have an own goal like that, or he has like that sort of complete blunder in him, which we are going to pull up on the screen right now. I don't care if I get copyright striked. All right. Zenit ended up winning this game, but I just want your comments on Lovren, Artem. I want to see how you can defend that.
Okay, I have perfect defense here.
No,
Okay,
you don't.
I do. You have criticized Lovren for months.
I
For
have.
months. And he's been great. He's been great for months. And at the minute you come back and say, you know what, Lovren's actually not that bad of a player. He's actually worth the money. That's when he starts going shit.
I've
Let's
never
blame
said
this
he's
all
worth
on
the money.
you.
But look at that, though. What a glorious finish that is. That's Dejan
No,
Love. And then
yeah, can I just I appreciate the kind of strength that has to take his chest to do that. That is glorious.
it's glorious, and thank God Zenit ended up winning. Otherwise, I would have had more of a field day. It's absolutely banged. Junior, what's your commentary on this own goal? And what do you think of Dejan Lovren at Zenit?
I think I have seen crazy own goals. I think this is up there with Marcel last season for Lyon against PSG. I think you can
Oh,
also
that
add
was a
that up.
classic as well.
That was a funny goal. That was a really
That was a
funny goal.
great goal.
This is with that in terms of just how ridiculous and unexplainable it is. Regarding Lovren, I think I watched him in a few of the Champions League games, not mistaking him with someone else, and I don't know if he did he score in the Champions League this season, or am I thinking of someone
Yeah,
else?
he did. He scored that like banger against Bruges, but it was given as an own goal
Yeah,
because it came
technically
off.
it was his goal, but because it hit the post and off the keeper, it was
Yeah,
the keeper's own goal.
I do remember him being a bit on and off in those Champions League games where at times he just sort of switched off and almost forgot he was in the middle of a match, and it
yeah.
was a bit calming to see a player I actually recognize play for those clubs when I'm trying to sit through the games for you. Uh, yeah, it was calming and hilarious just watching him try to play football. Even think he's that old. Don't think he's hit 35,
Nah,
36 yet,
he's
but
like 31, 32, I think. He's not that old.
he's still.
Yeah.
He's in the peak of his physical career.
It's not much though when you do things like this.
Look, he's only practicing for when he gets the chance in the other net.
He has scored this season, by the way. I think he does have a couple of goals.
He takes
Um,
free kicks for us. He's great.
he's not great. Let's not go that far. But
Oh, you know what? I'm so happy you're back on the Lovren hate train. I cannot wait for some world class performances.
what, in 3 months' time?
Yeah,
And he's going to score in the training camp in
I'm going to be
Qatar
sending
or
you
whenever it is.
anti-Lovren propaganda every day for those 3 months, just so it builds up. And then the
There you go.
day he comes back, he's going to score 5.
It's not going to happen. Not going to happen. By the way, this is completely off topic, Patrick. But have you ever like been to a game, or have you ever because you know Sport Pesa, of course you know Sport Pesa, right? From Kenya. You
If I've
there?
ever live match,
Yeah, because you know what happens with that, like Hull City and a few clubs and even Everton have come to Kenya, haven't they, to play like a friendly game against Gor Mahia or something?
Yeah, they have. The games I've attended Standard Liège match.
Oh man.
Saw Besiktas in a friendly. I think it was 4 years ago. Yeah, probably 4 years ago. And yeah, I think it's just those two. Those are the only two clubs I've seen live. I
Watched
think.
live, yeah. I've only watched one live, which was, CSK versus Basel in Moscow, and that was Xhaka's brother scored in that game. It was a pretty good goal. He's still the better Xhaka. He represents Albania. Toland Xhaka. Fun fact out there. Um, Artem Rajesh played really well. He was man of the match.
Respect.
Amazing performance. Honestly, Wendell played really, really well. Man of the match performance from him. Spartak were invisible. They didn't do anything. They barely had any shots. And after that, Domenico Tedesco came out and said, "Go on."
Can I just quickly talk about one other thing before we go on to Tesco?
Sure.
What did you
Why
What did
not?
you think of Maximenko for that first goal?
It was trash. Should have saved it.
Really trash, and
Yes.
it made me question. Well, actually, it made me not question for the first time in a long time who the number one for the national team should be, and I think it should be Safonov. What do you think?
The number one for the now?
Yeah.
No, he shouldn't.
Who?
I don't know. Dupin, Belinov, I don't know. Not Safonov now. He should get games, but he should not be like playing in the Euro final.
He absolutely should. I think Safonov's the man.
Safonov has these errors in him. Safonov has done worse.
Look, what is the point of someone like Dupin is like past 30, right?
Sure.
So is Belenov. Belenov's probably like fucking 60 at this stage, right? What is the point of bringing up those two keepers? Like, I feel like they also wouldn't fit in to any. Like, it's become a big thing in football recently that goalkeepers are part of the tactics, and I feel like if that's going to be the case, now I'm not saying it is going to be the case, but if that's going to be the case, then Safonov has to be the man, right?
Yes, but not gonna happen under the current manager, is it?
No, maybe not, but
Stanley is still gonna play Guilherme.
yeah,
Right?
that's
That's
like. Do you not think Safonov should be ahead of Guilherme at least, right?
yeah, sure, definitely.
Well, yeah. So there you go. Like that. That's just purely what I'm based off because I don't think Dupin or Belenov are gonna get called up as a first choice at least.
It's sad though. Like they deserve it.
It's
As
sad, but
they deserve
look, like it's their fault for being born at the same point as Egbert and Fave.
it really is. Um, but after the game, by the way, Domenico Tedesco. First of all, last week in the weekend, Domenico Tedesco got basically pretty disgustingly cussed out by a member of the Sochi staff, where he was basically told to go back to his own country and things of that nature. And Joaozinho literally kicked Tedesco's assistant. This had a really adverse impact on Tedesco. And then after the Zenit game, he just came out and said that I'm not going to be extending my contract, which expires at the end of the season, and I'm gonna, move on from Spartak. Adam, how does this make you feel? And can you think of any, like, where do you think Spartak go from here? Given Tedesco goes through with this, by the way, that's one big thing.
I'm still of the opinion that things can change. A lot of things can happen in the next few months, and for Spartak's sake, look, like there's probably no club I dislike more than Spartak, being a Zenit fan. But I can also appreciate that they're a big club with a big fan base, and I want them ultimately to do well. Um, and I think it's so bad for them. Like it's super bad news because like he has those same vibes as Massimo Carrera had. Like he
Right.
has those same like young manager, like really eager to get his team playing, and like almost like a Jurgen Klopp as well style of like motivation. And it's
Yeah.
just like it's super cool to see something like that in the RPL, and to lose him would be just so disappointing for the club. But like to be honest, like I can see why like he might want to leave, especially like those comments at the weekend were absolutely disgusting. And like I really like once someone says something like that, I lose all respect for them, and
Yeah, exactly.
like I mean,
Because
I just hope that guy gets punished, either by the RFU, probably won't happen,
yeah, that's the sad thing.
or by just karma.
Yeah, and that's these are the things that put me off Russian football. That stuff like that, the fact that he's probably not gonna go punished, the fact that like journalists and those stupid idiots that Ilya mentioned in this article, which you must read by the way, that they just keep defending it. And people were saying that, oh, Tedesco didn't shake hands with Zanayev, which he did. And like, if someone tells me to get out of the country and just says, I'm not going to shake hands with anyone, like, for that, that's the main thing. And it's just sad because he seems like a really nice guy. Spartak have grown a lot with him. It's just sad that he's leaving. Patrick, what do you think of Tedesco as a manager, maybe from his time at Schalke? And can you think of like any manager? Kike Setien, by the way, that absolute legend is being linked to Spartak. How do you think he would do there?
I think those were a couple of questions. One of them actually
Yeah,
ties
sure.
back into a question you asked earlier, where I do think Zenit and Spartak are perhaps the biggest clubs in Russia from what I've seen, from what I've heard, from what I've read. And
Right.
yeah, Zenit um, did extremely well in Europe last season. I think they got really unlucky, finished level on points with Benfica, but were knocked out on head to head.
Yeah.
That was last season. And uh, Spartak have, under Tedesco, they've been on the rise. Really, I watched on YouTube one of those full matches that he really streamed, and they look like a really coherent and tactically astute team. They look hungry for goals, and just they go out and try to play really. They try to win. Basically, that's something that
Hmm.
I watching Turkish football. That's not something I see very often, and I do think those are perhaps, in my opinion, the two biggest teams. I would have said Siska, but yeah, I'm not exactly sure about them. Haven't watched them in the league. I did a little bit of research, so that they're second this season. That was
Yeah, they are.
it.
They are.
Yeah, but in Europe, they haven't exactly made any form of mark for quite a number of seasons
For a
now,
year. Since
especially in the
Golovin left, basically they've done nothing since. So
yeah.
yeah.
I think they finished fourth in the Champions League for the last three entrances they've made into the league.
Yeah, of course the thing that stands out is them honking us, but still finishing last. The Solari and Lopetegui years. And
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
that was some time as a Real Madrid fan, wasn't it? That was such levels of trauma I've not been experienced with. But
Stress.
exactly, it's so strange being a Real Madrid fan. Real Madrid, crazy club, of course. But you know what? Talking about Turkish football, right? Like the thing we say about Russian football is that, of course, there's a lot of big clubs in Russia and Turkey. You've got Galatasaray and now Başakşehir. You've got Besiktas. You've got Fenerbahce. Is there, and we know that the league is chaotic, just like it is in Russia. So is there still like a level of corruption, a level of incompetency at the very top at some of the big clubs? And then you have challengers, new challengers like Başakşehir coming up. Like, where do you
Yeah,
see Turkish football going? Because I feel like it's quite similar to Russian football in a lot of ways.
I think Turkish football is in a bit of a weird place at the moment. There is quite a lot of corruption. There is a lot of clubs struggling to kind of in a battle between the fans and the boards and the presidents, and it does create this air of chaos at almost every big club, um, including Başakşehir. Perhaps you could say they don't have fans, so they don't have
Yeah.
anyone to battle the board. But even this season, they're struggling in the league, and kind of goes in tandem with the level of chaos that's been going on. clubs like Besiktas and Trabzonspor and Fenerbahce, Galatasaray all struggling with just presidential issues, presidents beefing with the fans, and financial issues playing back into the corruption. So Turkish football is it's in a bit of a swamp right now where you can't really. It's hard to tell, but prognostics are it's moving downwards.
Right.
The European performances are terrible. The clubs aren't really playing any inspiring football. Perhaps Besiktas are on the rise this season. Fenerbahce, Trabzonspor, Galatasaray, Başakşehir specifically. You can't really pick out any of them none of them are playing really good football on a week-to-week basis like they were perhaps for a huge spell over the past decade.
Yeah, even like Turkish football is obviously a meme because of the transfers. Just the weirdest players ending up in the Turkish Super League. It's players you thought, like FIFA 11, 12, like Steven Cocker, Dembaba, Cisse, players like that, which is mad. Russian football obviously is pretty similar. We talk about it way too often. But I guess the main thing is that Turkey have a really good national team, don't they? And a lot of good upcoming players. And Turkish players actually move abroad, unlike Russian players, which is, I guess, a big advantage. So
Yeah,
I think
it is I think a lot of scouts are turning their eyes to Turkish football now after the likes of Yusuf Yazic, Cengiz Ünder, Meri Demiral, Jala Soyuncu. I think those players kind of helped bring more scouts to look at the Turkish league. I think I was hoping Miranchuk would sort of do that for Alexei, would do that for the Russian league, because I do believe there are a lot of brilliant talent in the league. You watch the streamed games on
yeah,
YouTube,
there
and you see a lot of a
definitely
lot
are.
of so
Even Russian and non. Artem, you know what? That's the question I'm going to ask you. When do you think we're finally going to see Russian players move in good numbers abroad? Like 4 or 5, let's say, every season, even if it's not to the big clubs, or just good RPL players properly moving abroad and being valued, and the RPL being held to a regard that's as high as like the Dutch league or something. When do you think that's going to happen?
I mean, there's a good few RPL players that move every transfer window. Like obviously maybe not as many as we'd like, but still like a decent amount, like 5 or 6, I'd say. Um, but Russian players is a whole different story, and I think as long as we have the limit, there's no point in players who are below average leaving Russia. And then as long as there's a lot of money in Russian football and a lot of stability and being, I know obviously it's shaky at the moment, but stability and being top 6, 7 leagues, I don't think many players are going to want to leave. Like I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. Um, don't know. It's an interesting one. But I don't see 5, 6 Russian players leaving every year. For I don't know, like 5, 10 years minimum, to be honest.
Really, I feel like
I think you're underestimating how many 5 or 6 players is. Like 5 or 6 good players is half the national team.
no, I don't even want. I'm talking Salagov to Cagliari. That's in my 5 or 6.
Okay, right. Well, in that case, not gonna happen. Like anytime soon, anyway. Because
Yeah, that's sad.
like I said, while the limit's there, while average players and players below average are being treated, paid, and started as much as players who are much better than them, there's no reason for them to go anywhere else.
Okay, right.
Like if someone said to you, right, like you could stay in the country you were born in, like lived your whole life, where you know people, where you know family, where you know everything, and you're gonna get paid more. You're gonna be guaranteed more football, or you can go to another country where you've never been before, where you don't know if you're gonna like the culture, the food, whatever, the weather. Like
But I
you're
mean,
gonna
that's
potentially leave your family for a few months.
It's so pessimistic.
No, it's
No, it's
true though. Like at the end of the day, like I know we always love to see footballers as these guys who like don't have emotions or feelings or like they're
nah.
very
See,
like
that's
football
not.
is football, but like they're humans. Like at the end of the day, like it's a job for them.
But humans move from place to place. Like I don't like money is the only factor. If you're a footballer, you want to look ahead, I guess. So if you're gonna stay at Sochi, or say if you go to Cagliari and then you have a good chance of going to a bigger club, that's much better for your career. Eventually, you're gonna be paid well. I don't know.
Hang on. Eventually, you can be paid well. What if you move to Cagliari, right? If you take a 50% wage cut, you get injured and you retire. Footballers'
See, now
careers
you
are
can't
so.
think like that, man.
But are you telling me it doesn't pop into footballers' heads,
Of
especially
course,
once
it does, but I mean, sure. Look at Miranchuk. Like, look at our man. Golovin, I guess, is not a great example because he hasn't played in centuries, but still, like, players are moving. That's the main.
they no, but they like okay. You're thinking about the players who are Miranchuk level, the players who are Golovin level, the players who are really good. I'm talking about the example you just gave, Talagov. There's no reason for him to go to Cagliari. No reason whatsoever. Like at the end of the day, like for players like Talagov, right? I'm sure he loves what he does. I'm sure he's super passionate because every time I've watched him play, I have to say like Talagov is a player I like. But at the end of the day, it's a job. Like for him, it's not like like I could play for Cagliari. I could say that I played in the top five leagues. He probably not going to care about that as much as he cares about an extra €5,000 a week, which
Eh,
he could like. At the end of the day, football players, the reason they get paid so much is because their careers are so short. They need to make the money that they can make, and make that last. So, I think that in Russia, when you're a player who's below average, there's absolutely no reason to leave. And if I was a Russian player, if I played in Russia right now, I am a below average Russian player, and best believe I would be staying in Russia.
I don't know, Patrick. What do you think of this entire argument?
Think yeah, 5 or 6 is perhaps a little too high. I think best you could hope for is 1 or 2. Um, even in higher leagues like let's say the Liga, you don't see 5, 6 talents moving to bigger leagues every season, and perhaps you do hope that there are a number who can perhaps make that step. You watch them in your league and you think, oh yeah, he's perhaps ready to make that step, and then they either stay there or they move perhaps to a bigger club in that league. I think a few years ago, there's a Rostov player, Polos, I think, Dmitry Polos, where I watched him at Rostov a number of times, and I thought yeah, he definitely could make that step up, definitely could go to a Cagliari level club. And yeah, I think he went to Zenit, I believe.
Yeah, thank you.
And every year you do see a number of players where you think, okay, yeah, he could definitely, you picture him definitely making that step up, perhaps to bigger leagues. I think you have guys like Kokorin, you have um, even Chalov.
Even
I know
Smolov.
you,
Smolov, to be
yes,
fair, did come to and scored against us, but I mean,
yes, us and Barcelona, then went back
and
to Russia.
then went back, just dipped, which was. So you do agree with the argument that players choose money. What would you choose? Let's say, let's use Artem's example. Let's say you're like an average or a decent enough player, but you're not a world beater. You're not like one of the top five players in the league. Do you choose to stay at the club you are? Let's say it's like a mid-table club, someone who's in like this 7 to 12 zone, or you can move to a decent enough club that's in a top 5 league, or like a good club in like Belgium, or but you're going to get paid less. What do you choose? Do you choose to stay in Russia, or do you choose to move abroad?
Yeah, sad with Artem there, where most players would choose to stay in Russia. There is that comfort and that you don't want that culture shock when you go to another league and demands are high. You're still struggling to adjust to the life off the pitch, and demands are high for you to perform on the pitch. You have a price tag on your head, and you need to meet it. struggling to adapt the language and the foreign tactics, the different level and style of play. And yeah, I don't think many players would choose that. Perhaps I could even use the Polos example where maybe,
That's
yeah,
the thing. Like
maybe,
even if you think about it, like purely from like a perspective of like I don't know, Hanu. Like maybe it probably is different in India because like a lot of Indians want to like emigrate and stuff like that. And like Junior, I don't know what the story is in Kenya, but you might enlighten me. But like for example, like if there's people like I'm sure a lot of people in Ireland have the skills to go over to the US or the UK and make a lot more money or like live more comfortably because like it's expensive to live here. But like like for the most part they're just gonna be like, nah, I'm just gonna stay with what I know. And like it's no different with footballers. Like, and in fact it's probably even better for footballers because you're comparing in Russia, let's say you're making 10k a week. Let's just say 10k a week as conservative, right? You're making 10k a week as Salaga, right? You're paying 13% tax, which is super, super low. You're not paying that anywhere in Europe. And you're living in a country that's cheaper to live in, where you can have more luxuries, where you can have a better life. Or you can go to Italy, get taxed more, earn way less. Like,
Yeah, but do you not
learn a different
consider the
language,
fact
live in a
if
different
no,
country,
but
whatever.
listen, if you're a footballer with extremely high aspirations, do you not think that I'm willing to take that shot? Let's
Look,
not.
look, look, look. If you're a footballer with extremely high aspirations, absolutely, and I completely agree with you. But the thing is, not every footballer has extremely high aspirations. In fact, most footballers' really high aspirations is to make it into the RPL. Do you get what I mean? Like it's already a massive league. Like if you walked up to any footballer who plays in the RPL, you'd be like, "Whoa, that's cool! That's a like I respect him. He's like he's done a lot to get where he is," and it's like pushing yourself to that next level with the amount of risk is just not worth the reward for a lot of players. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, I mean, because look, you know what annoys me more? I guess you are. I can't disagree with that. What annoys me more is that you see Dutch players like taking a step down, going to a smaller league. But if you're a Russian player, you either go if you're a real anomaly and you go to the top five leagues, or you go to
Yeah,
Turkey, or you go to
but
Turkey like Kudryashov and
look,
them. So
look,
like, why are you going to Turkey? Like June, Patrick, what are
because
the wages like in Turkey for like Antalya
um,
Sport or some club like that?
the bigger name players obviously get paid more, the likes of Papi Cisse and examples that you use, Kolka, but I don't think someone like Kudryashov would be paid um, anything like what someone like Papi Cisse or Dempaba would be paid.
Exactly. So it's like,
but no, but the reason he might go there is because like let's just say he's earning the same amount. Like, let's just say, like, all right, 10k in Russia, 10k in Turkey. He might go to Turkey because he wants to have the sun for a year instead of
oh come
living
on.
in the cold during winter. Genuinely, that could be a reason. Russians love going to Turkey. Like Turkey is the destination for Russian
But
people.
see, that's every player goes to Turkey though, from all over the world. Just like a random player, if you put some money on it, there's a chance they'll end up in Turkey at some point
Yeah,
in their
but
career.
okay, but even then, like you're talking about how Dutch players sometimes go to worse leagues than Dutch league, but like in the Dutch league they don't have the foreigner limit. When you have the foreigner limit, like this is the main problem I have with it, and I think you agree with me here is that
Yeah, I do.
players who are shit who would have to go to other leagues otherwise, who'd have to go to Belarus, who'd have to go to like I don't know, like the Czech Republic or something. I'm not saying they're bad leagues, but they're not as good as the Russian league. Players who would have to go to those leagues no longer have to do that. They can just comfortably sit in Russia, pick up a really nice salary because of their passport. That's all that matters about them, their passport, and that's it. And that's why the foreign element just has to fuck off. Like that's purely the reason. That's my biggest reason for that. But look, I'm not saying that. Just back to this for a second about Russian players leaving. I'm not saying that the best Russian players shouldn't leave. I absolutely agree. If you're Miranchuk, either of them, if you're Smolov, if you're Duba, if you're Kokorin, if you're any of them, you need to be testing yourself, bro. You need to be going somewhere else because you've proven yourself in the league. Like, I'm just saying for
exactly. And if you're that good, you never amount to anything. Like Zagoyev didn't amount to anything. Kokorin didn't
look here,
amount to.
he's
No, he could have done a lot more.
Zagoyev had massive he would like if he didn't have the injury problems he would have gone abroad. Like I genuinely believe it that like Zagoyev, like a lot of those players like him, like truly want to go, but the chance, the time, and whatever just didn't happen for them. Like it's not like it didn't happen for other players before. Like Arshavin was in the Premier League, so was Pavlyuchenko, Zhirkov, Pogrebnyak. Like we had four players we had five players in the league at some point. Bilyaletdinov was there as well.
And
Like
Smertin.
he wasn't playing at the same time as all them.
Was he not? Okay, my bad.
No. Anyway, yeah. So like that's the thing. Like I do think that some stars need to align, and obviously because of because they're Russian, and especially up until the World Cup, Russia was below 50th in the world rankings, which means that their players would have had to play, I think, 10 games for the national team to get a work permit in the EU. Like a lot of things are super complicated.
Is that
like
a thing?
so like what? Yeah, it's a thing. Like if you want to play in the Premier League.
Yeah, in the Premier, I don't think it's that bad in the EU though, because you see players from like all kinds of places go to the EU all the time.
No, but I do think there is trials
I
and
think it might
tribulations
be
with
top.
that. Like
I think it's top 100 though.
for the UK, it's top 50. I know that for a fact.
Yeah, I guess I don't know.
But like those are the sort of things like logistically sometimes it just doesn't happen. Like look, like I said, this is how I'm gonna finish this off. I'm gonna just repeat myself and say the top Russian players, the players who have proven themselves to be at a level, like at the top level of the league, players like okay, even I'd say Chalov, right? But like not even Russian players, Vlasic, like back
He's
to
gonna
Russian
go.
players, Mario
He's gonna go for
Fernandez.
sure.
But those kind of players, they should be testing themselves because they've proven themselves to be like, top 10, top 15, top 10, 20 players in the league. Anyone below that, I have absolutely no like expectation for you to go abroad, and I can completely understand why you want to stay in Russia. Like that's the thing. It's just that's just my
But it's
opinion
the
on it.
passport argument again, isn't it? Right? And okay, right. Here's a question: who do you think is the most likely Russian player now to go abroad?
From Russia, who's playing in the Russian league?
Yes.
That's put me on the spot. I think
has.
Anton Miranchuk is likely to go abroad because I think that I think that if Alexei does well, I think that
Yeah.
Anton will think like, right, well look, my brother's out there doing his thing. Like why not test myself? I think he's definitely one of the players. I think that there's a lot of players who have aspirations of going abroad. A lot of the young players, but I just like I don't know out of them who will go. Like I'm just gonna say Anton Miranchuk. Who do you think?
I'd agree with that brother argument as well, but I think Shapi, Safonov, few of these guys could end up venturing abroad soon.
Yeah, I think that's definitely that's definitely an option. I'd love to see Safonov abroad. I'd love to see Shapi abroad. Shapi probably more likely to go abroad than Safonov, especially like we keep coming back to the limit. But while there's a limit, Russian clubs are not going to want to buy foreign goalkeepers. And if there's a Russian goalkeeper who's at a level of a good foreign goalkeeper, you best believe he's going to be worth a lot of money. So
Hey, Patrick, this is a really weird question. Do you know if Ukraine has a foreigner limit?
No, I don't know.
I don't think they do.
I think they do. Serbia definitely has a foreigner limit. So do Serbia. I don't know about Croatia. Serbia does. Look at Serbian players, man.
You can't compare Russia and Serbia.
Why?
Because there's not as much money in Serbian football. The Serbian league is so much lower in standard than the Russian league.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
So like once you get to like a good level in Serbia, like you need to get the fuck out of there.
And you know what? I think thing with Serbia.
I think one of the things that's holding Russian footballers from going abroad as well, on top of the limit, is the fact that they're the sixth best league. I've said this before on the podcast that because they're the sixth best league, it's like yeah, like I could go higher, but there's not that much higher I can go. Like, why not just be good here?
That's right. But you know what? My whole disappointment stems from the fact that, like, this past weekend, you had um, Cheryshev was the captain of Valencia. Miranchuk got some minutes. There were two Russian guys at Levante who got time in the Copa del Rey. Kritsiuk, our man, played in Portugal. So it's just nice to see Russian players there. And that's just what I want to see. That's what I want to normalize. And I hope that starts to happen. But one player who I feel like is a shining light and a good example for players in the RPL is our man Eldor Patrick. How do you think he's done for Genoa? And I was so excited when he went there. I didn't know how bad Genoa, because I watch every Genoa game now
Oh
because
my
of
god.
him, and they
I
are
feel for you.
a horrible, horrible football team. They are terrible. Like, but
They're
how do you think
atrocious.
they are atrocious? How do you think he has done? Because I think he's settled in really well. He's got a goal. He's got an assist. He started to gel, and I think he will be important for them. How do you think he's done?
Yeah, I think he's done fairly well. My expectations for him were one goal um, all season, so I think he's already met that.
Yeah,
Yeah, he does. He works really, really hard. I think he knows the situation at the club. He knows the kind of club that he's playing for. Knows he won't get a lot of the kind of service that he's expecting, or the kind of service he was getting perhaps in Rostov, and he's not facing the same defenders he was facing in Russia, but he's still, he puts his head down, works really hard, tries to put himself about, tries to carry the defenders, and um, yeah, I've been impressed. He's settled in quite well. I think he had the shot that led to the goal
yeah,
that
from the
Destro.
first goal against Milan. Yeah,
Yeah, and
so I mean,
he is someone that some players can look at and think, perhaps maybe I could translate my skill set to another league. We talked about Sobolev a while back. I think it was 2-3
yeah,
months ago, and I could see someone like Sobolev moving to France, for example, to the Liga, to clubs like Nîmes level. I
yeah, yeah, yeah.
don't think
That's
he's
a really
squad.
interesting shout, actually. I think that's a good one.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah,
someone like him could easily translate his skill set from what he has now to like the French league. He can serve as a target man. He can try to improve, and even as he improves, he will give more to the national team, and again serve as an example for more players that they can, if they want to. That is, if they can move to those five. I think the five leagues that are above Russia.
yeah. I mean, I just Shomurodov is like a really inspiring figure because it's in a like an average circumstance, like Artem said, where you're at a very comfortable spot in the Russian Premier League. You're at a club which is in Europe. You're their star striker. You're scoring goals. You're getting great service. The stadiums are better. You're getting paid more, and yet you choose to drop down to a club that's barely surviving in Serie A, just for the experience, just to see how well you can test yourself. And that's, I think, commendable. And I hope, I wish him all the best there.
That's absolutely commendable. I'm just saying,
Yeah, it's
99% of players don't
99%.
do
Yeah, I
that.
get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. But is Austin Urunov 19 years of age, Artem, or not?
Doesn't look like he is. Um,
He,
but like I believe him. I won't make him do any bone tests or anything like that.
he's
Like
19.
you see the picture of when he signed for Spartak. See that one in like the middle of the screen right now?
This one?
No, the one in the
This one.
down in the middle
This
of the
one.
screen. Oh, you're such a dumb. Like
Which one?
no, hang on.
This
Which
one?
one is in the middle of the screen? The very middle of the screen.
This.
Yes. Thank you.
He
Like
looks
in that
19.
yeah, he looks young in that. Like he's just really hairy, but like
Exactly. That's it. That's it. That's it. He's just, who the hell is this guy? That,
Like,
that's not Urunov.
you know
But
what though? You
what?
know what though? Like, if he just like went and got a trim of those eyebrows, it would change everything. It would change his career potentially. He might move to the Premier League after that.
No, I think it's distinctive. I think like that. That's like his. Like Peter Crouch is known for being 8 foot tall. He's going to be known for having his unibrow.
He looks like a caveman.
So he can be, if he's good at football, it doesn't really matter though, does it? And he is good at football. Just justice for him, man. He just doesn't
No,
get.
he's a great player. But like, see, hang on, like, see the photo that's like at the top row, 5 in. Like, even like that's a better look.
He looks 16 in this one.
But like, you can tell like his unibrow isn't as like mad, and his beard isn't as like he doesn't have one in that. I just think that he needs to have a shave in a couple of places. Like that's all.
Patrick, what do you think?
Yeah. That monobrow does him no favors.
I think that's an understatement.
I mean, no, I feel like you're hating. But I mean, like you know what? One day he's gonna cut it off, and we're gonna come back and say, "Now, why did you do this?" It's gonna look even weirder.
No, it won't. It won't. Like Hanu, like, do you know anyone with a unibrow?
See, I don't know anyone personally, but I've seen people with unibrow, like school and stuff.
Yeah, like, do you not just like just shave it, bro?
It's very tempting, isn't it? Because it's just a cut down the middle.
That's all it has to be. It's just like this.
Exactly. It's like
It's not a big thing. Just you have to do it every couple, like 2 weeks or something. Every 2 weeks, just give yourself a little slit. That's it. That's all.
Urunov, get your unibrow cut if you're listening, and I know you are.
I will pay for it. Get in touch with the podcast. I will send you to any hairdresser you want in Moscow. I will get it. I'll pay them to cut your unibrow for you.
Sponsored by.
You're welcome in advance.
Sponsored by whatever this is. But so he by the way, we're discussing this because Sergei Ural, who's a manager, came out and said that Urunov is 3 or 4 years older than he looks, and that's just because how it is in Uzbekistan, which is a very dodgy statement.
Well, if he's 3 or 4 years older than he looks, he's 70.
I mean, it's just a very dodgy statement. I don't know why Russian football managers love to just say stuff out of the blue. We have other couple of before we get to a big topic that I've thought of, Artem. Quincy Promes has been arrested. What are your thoughts? Spartak are going to re-sign him.
Honestly, respect. Him and Kokorin attacking defenses. Beautiful.
He's
Beautiful sight. Like, you know what? Like, I look, I highly rate Spartak's, wherever this transfer rumor come from, I rate it because, Spartak sold him on a high, gonna buy him back for a low. He's still the same player, right? Might be more of a questionable person, but like, football-wise, could be good.
Patrick, what is your opinion on Quincy Promes spending 4 years in jail and then coming back to Spartak?
Promes actually has bit of a dodgy off the pitch record, I think. A lot of hearsay, a lot of rumors, but I think in 2018 he was charged for domestic violence or something.
Was he?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I think it was in Seville at the time. So yeah, I think like Archim said, he's still very much the same player. Watch his highlights at Spartak. The things he did there are the things he still tries to do today. Things he tried to do in Spain and kind of failed terribly. And so he's still very much the Quincy Promes that was at Spartak.
Hanu, didn't he get like a couple of he has a criminal record for arson or something like that?
I just listen. All I know about Quincy Promises off the pitch life is that he has a freestyle with Memphis Depay, and it is one of the hardest
That's
songs I've
exact
heard.
that
That's one of the
that
hardest songs I've heard in my life.
that's exactly what he has his critical record for arson for.
Oh, come on.
That was good.
He set the studio on fire. Yay.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was going for.
Insert the Thomas Muller meme over here. But nah, that song is super hard.
That
Goes.
was a 4D chess move.
It
Tell
was
me not.
it was a good move. It was a good move. I have to say that. By the way, he is a Spartak legend, right? No one's going to debate that with me, right?
Nah.
Right. Okay. Good. He is a legend.
Yeah.
All right.
He is.
Good. Because people, I don't know, man. I mean, you never know who starts debating. Because I think Ahmed Musa is a legend, and
Yeah, no, that's where I feel like Moose is close, but he's not there.
I mean, I think he is, and he's still only 29, which 28 or something, which we talk about every week, but it's still every time I think about it, it's a bit mad.
He gets younger every single time. He was 31 last week.
I mean, Patrick was shocked that when he found out that Musa was 28. So this is a common theme over here. Other quick stuff we have: Krasnodar got drawn with Dinamo Zagreb. Adam, what are your quick thoughts on that in the Europa League round 32?
Love it. Absolutely love it. I think
Big-
Krasnodar have a real good chance of going through, and I'm going to say that they're going to win over the course of 2 legs. Don't know exactly how, but I see them going through to the next round, around the 16.
If they don't, it'll be very sad. It'll be a failure, I think.
It will be super sad, but at the same time, they still did better than any Russian club. Like, you know, like a couple of a month ago or something, we were saying about how Krasnodar are having a bad season. Now they're only 3 points off the top 4.
They've turned it
Now
on.
they're only now they're past everyone else in Europe. Now they're actually having a pretty good season. So
My
I'm delighted for Musayev, and I hope that they keep going that way because I want you to owe me money.
Yeah, exactly. My €5 were gone.
Rip.
It's sad. And Akhmat are gone as well. I mean, it was good. I bandwagoned for 2 weeks. Now it fell off. Look at that. I started bandwagoning. They haven't won in 5 games.
But do you think that this is maybe due to you starting the hype? Like I've never believed in I've never been a really super superstitious person. But like Hanu, like how do you keep
I don't
how
know.
do you keep doing this?
No, honestly. But I have a cop out. I have a real answer. I know why Akhmat have just fell off.
Go on.
It's because the US Treasury sanctioned them. Patrick, did you know this?
No,
The United States Treasury Department literally put out a press release sanctioning a bunch of people related to the leader of Chechnya, and Akhmat Grozny, the football club, is one of them because it's owned by the leader of Chechnya. What do you think of this, Patrick?
I wasn't aware of that.
Pretty
The
crazy.
Chechen guy was with Salah back in 2018, isn't he?
Yes, he gave him honorary citizenship.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you know, like he's a pretty dodgy guy. Like,
yeah, last I checked, I think it was a month ago, Akhmat were doing really well. They won the up and up, and
Now they've completely just bottled.
yeah, there's a guy I usually try to scout at Akhmat, Wilker Angel.
Yeah.
This time I had a bit of interest in the Venezuelans, the only two Venezuelans in that league, Angel and
Once was rotor now.
Ponce. Yeah, and Ponce was only scoring penalties last season. Only has one goal this season.
wait,
Mhm.
was Angel not there at the same time as Rondon at some point?
Probably was. That's the thing with. I mean, I know Rondon was at Zenit, but like Anzi and Akhmat just have such good scouting networks. They just sign the most random players and they turn out to be good. That's why I love those two clubs. It's much better than Ural, man. Honestly, like Ural just keeps signing dead beats from. They just keep signing the same 6 players. These players that are available on loan. That's why I love Akhmat and them.
You're such a hipster.
Listen, if I have the choice of supporting Ural and being a hipster, I'm a hipster for sure. I don't care what you say.
Do you know what? Actually, Akhmat are probably the least hipster club.
Depends on who's the most hipster club in the league.
The most hipster club in the league.
I think with Tedesco it has to be Spartak, but like Spartak aren't a hipster club.
Might be Dynamo, either.
No, it's Krasnodar. I'm sorry. It's a very obvious answer.
Krasnodar, yeah.
It's very obvious.
That actually is the obvious answer. I don't know why we didn't go there quicker.
Exactly. Who's the most
Month
hipster club in Turkey? Yeah, go on. My man.
I think 2 months ago, I listened to both this and RFN and Krasnodar were in deep shit, I think.
They were.
Yeah. They were struggling both. I didn't see them as struggling so much in Europe. I think they were playing well and on occasions and being rather unlucky. My predictions for Krasnodar were that they would finish with 0 points back in August.
Mm-hmm.
It was just, and yeah, I had really high hopes on Stad Ren, and then I think Krasnodar and Ren kind of swapped seasons in a way where Ren just started doing really poorly and Krasnodar went, just became really good. Watching Krasnodar versus Ren, even on every Ren attack, I didn't feel like they would score. I didn't feel like they would threaten Krasnodar, who looked relatively solid. And then I see the Russian highlights and they beat Tedesco
Yeah, I
5-0.
mean,
No, sorry, they beat Loko 5-0. And
yeah,
yeah,
that's the
kind of,
thing. It was their first season in the Champions League, right? So no one really had any expectations from them, and everyone sort of knew that it was going to be a straight shootout between them and Rennes, and they ended up winning, which is big for them. Uh, so I guess fair play to them. Honestly, I think they are easily the most hipster club as well because they have youth academy, and it seems like everyone over there loves XG and stuff. So fair play to them. Now I'm going to come to my discussion topic right now on football Twitter, Artem. I know you're not on there, but still, there's been this, or even on like regular Twitter, there's been a huge discussion over like the past week or so about football falling off. Some people say that football has fallen off, and the time of reference they use is that football is worse than it used to be 10 years ago, 15 years ago. I wouldn't know. But what I think that football definitely has fallen off in the past. I'm going to say 20, since like 2018, 19 or 17, 18, I think football has fallen off. As in, at that time, you used to have like 6 or 7 really good teams in Europe that were competing for the Champions League. Now it's more a question of who's worse, the least worst team. And Liverpool and Bayern are probably like the only good teams in football right now, really good teams. What do you think of that? Do you think football has fallen off, Artem?
Well, to be honest, I think that like the quality of football is probably higher now than it was 10 years ago, but it's not as entertaining. Like that's just purely my opinion. And it's not even so much to do with the style of play or anything. It's just I don't know. Like I think a lot of people who are saying it's fallen off, like we're all just getting old. That's just how it is, you know. Like
No, we're
you always love to talk about things like, oh, I remember those days when Zidane and Ronaldinho were playing, and that was just so much fun. And like you tend to think about all the good times, and never really about the bad times. Like for example, what I'd compare it to is, have you ever watched a movie when you were a kid and you were like, this is the best movie ever, and then watched it again like 10 years later, and it's terrible.
yeah,
no.
Van Helsing.
Yeah, so like it's sort of like that. Like I just feel like people are looking back at it and like I feel like if we went back and watched football matches from like 2008, 2007, 2006, 2005, you'd see that the quality isn't the same quality as it is now. Might be more entertaining, but
It
I
was
think I think
I mean, I feel like you're going 10 years back. I'm only going 2 years back. I feel like football isn't as entertaining for sure, right? Or you know what, Patrick, what's your thoughts on the matter, first of all? What do you think? Do you think football has fallen off? Because I think you don't from your tweets, but what do you think?
I'm a bit conflicted. I don't think it's fallen off. I think the gap between the bigger teams and the smaller teams has kind of reduced a bit.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, there's a lot of money going into some of these leagues, a lot of money going into teams which in the past couldn't afford to buy the players that clubs today can afford to buy. The gap between a club like Celta and Barcelona isn't what it was 10, 15 years ago, where Barca could go to travel to Celta with really good players and just roll over Celta. And those are the clips that are being passed around right now. Those are the clips that we're seeing, the really good memories where a team with a lot of class and a lot of money could just steamroll past a team that didn't have the quality. So as the gulf in quality reduces, teams can't play with the same level of flair. They can't play with the same level of that attractiveness that they had when, which is kind of what our nostalgia is is filling our heads with remembering really fun times, really good moments. We're seeing clips of Bergkamp, Henry, Ronaldinho, and just dancing past nameless defenders, Kaká in the Champions League, and perhaps maybe they can't do that today, not because
Yeah.
football has fallen off. It's the level of the players that they're facing
Is high. Yeah, I
is
think I do definitely agree with you saying that the gap, because you're starting to see like new challengers like Lille and Milan aren't exactly new challenges, but they've sort of come back up. Red Bull Leipzig is a great example. In Spain, you're seeing Sociedad and such clubs. And like the really big clubs, I think just got too comfortable, like Barcelona and them, and United and Arsenal and all of those clubs. And I think we're just at a point right now where the greatest clubs in the world aren't as great as they used to be, and the clubs that are coming up aren't exactly at a point where they're willing, like they can compete for the Champions League on a regular basis and they can become the elite. So we're in like a really weird middle ground. I don't know. I guess, Artem, what do you think? Like, do you agree with Patrick's thing that gap has become lesser, or do you purely think it's just nostalgia?
No, like I do agree. Like I said, I think that the quality of football now is higher than it was before, and I think that like that's the reason for the gap really finishing because like even smaller clubs now are really looking into stats and like they're really look like I'm super against like XG and stuff like that, but there are some stats that can help you, and I think that they're like a lot of clubs are hiring experts to make their players better, and like there's a huge amount of analysis going into the game, and I think that's partly to do with that less of a gap. Whereas like 10-15 years ago, you might not have seen the like mid-table teams or lower teams really even do that because they just kind of accepted that they you know it's just a day out to play against Barcelona. Like you're not expected to get any points.
That's where I think I can't disagree with any of that. I just get nostalgic, like looking at like 2 years ago, Lucas Vasquez just spamming crosses to Ronaldo and us winning the Champions League, and Gareth Bale scoring. That like that
Well,
that's
see, you're looking at it from a Real Madrid point of view.
exact. I am looking
That
at it from, because what I think the glory days for me, I guess, were pretty recent. Like when we won three Champions Leagues in a row, and at that
yeah.
point we were taking on. One season we took on PSG in the round of 16, Bayern in the quarterfinals, Juventus in the semifinals, and Liverpool in the finals. And all of those teams were amazing. But right now we can't get past Ajax. We can't like there's not. I just feel like there's not as many great teams anymore, and I feel
How
like
do
that
you
will.
how do you feel about the fact that like you have no idea when you're gonna have a player as good as Ronaldo, or if it's ever even gonna happen?
I don't feel. I don't know, Patrick. How do you feel?
That's right. Kick it into touch.
Yes,
yeah,
Patrick. How do you feel?
it's half depressing, half a bit worrying, and I think there's a sense of encouragement in it where you feel like now is the time where I think we have to come together as a collective. All 11 players on the pitch have to kind of contribute what we would get from a few players. Now the team has to kind of work together, and they have to be closer, and we even actually need good players for such a thing to work. And yeah, it is half depressing because it kind of hits you that we don't have a 50 goal a season machine up front anymore, but it does kind of force you to know that your team needs to be tighter together to be better as a team.
Honestly, Adam, you've made me sad with that question because I haven't considered it since he left, right? Like, I've not. It's been 2 years, and I've not like really thought about that. Has it been 2 years, or did he leave last year?
No, it's
2
been
years.
2 years.
2 years, right? When he left out 2018 final, right? Jesus Christ, it's been 2 years already. I feel like we can still, and we're gonna lose to Atlanta now that I've said it, but with a few reinforcements, I don't think there's any reason that we can't win the Champions League again. And I do think we will have players that, well, no one will quite ever have the same impact that he did, but I feel like we will have players that will somehow take over. So, I mean, I guess it just remains to be seen how it goes. But thanks for depressing me with that question, though. Thank you. Thanks.
You're absolutely welcome. That's what I'm here to do.
See, now we're gonna go into the mailbag section, and now you've just made me sad. Right? So mailbag section. This is probably like our last bit, because thanks a lot, guys. Anyway, for sending these questions. We're gonna probably over the winter break. There's not really much to talk about, so this is just the stuff that more interaction with you guys, more guests on. A couple of questions were quite similar. Artem Goncharenko, 3 questions we have about Goncharenko. He was heavily rumored to be just leaving CSKA, regardless of what happened in this Rostov game, and now they're saying that he could stay. Do you think Goncharenko deserves to leave? And who do you think deserves to be sacked more, Semak or Goncharenko?
Check the table.
Check the table.
Are people really trying to say that the teams at the top of the league, both of their managers should be sacked? Like, is that serious? Look, don't get me wrong, I can see where some frustration would lie, but like, imagine yourself as the board of those 2 teams. Is sacking really going through your head? No.
I think it
absolutely.
I think you should consider it.
No, I don't think so. I think like Zenit, I can understand slightly, but only due to Europe. CSKA, probably the only other reason too. But like, no, I don't think so. I think like honestly, I think both managers should be left until the end of the season at this point. Like, if you want to change managers, then like imagine sacking people mid-season when they're doing that well in the league. Like that's the only thing I'd say. Like, yeah, that's pretty much my opinion.
Fair, of course. It's you can't do that.
Like if you're saying like, I don't know, like the manager's lost the dressing room, or like he doesn't want to be there anymore, different story. But like, I don't know how much that's the case. Like,
I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. Okay, Zenit are going to win the league again. CSK are probably going to finish second or third, and then they're going to qualify for Europe. Then we're going to see the same cycle repeat itself all over again. And there's never going to be any progress unless like a manager just leaves on his own volition.
Like, well, I mean, I don't know if I necessarily agree with you. There's like, you say there's not going to be any improvement. I find it difficult to believe that there's not going to be any improvement on this season, because this season's been just that bad. But like, I don't know. Like, I think that both managers should be left to as long as they want to be there until the end of the season. That's just my opinion. Like, I just it's a super big risk to sack a manager when he's coming first or second at the table. That's the only thing I'm saying. It's because you bring in another manager, it could unsettle some players. Like, the tactics could go wrong, and suddenly you're not first or second, you're third or fourth. And you know what that means this season? That means no Champions League. Like,
Yeah.
you gotta stick with these managers. That's just my own opinion.
Yeah, I think it's a bit too late to sack them. I think you're right. I think if you had sacked them right after Zenit were on that bad streak, would have made sense. CSK were on
Yeah,
that
or like
bad streak.
even if you looked at them from Europe and said like, okay, we really need like a new manager kick in Europe. Like those couple of games
Yeah,
where like
yeah.
results just go your way. If you really wanted to do that because of their European performances, you do that while you're still in Europe. You don't do that now.
That's true. Yeah, I agree with that one. I'm inclined to concede that argument. Um, Next one is this. I'll take this one. New coach for Kazakhstan's national team after Bilek's contract was mutually terminated. I hope he goes well. The new coach that Kazakhstan have got. It's a local guy. Kazakhstan football is in a
Who
weird.
is it?
I don't know his name, but it's a local like. It's got a very typical Kazakh name, but he's like managed a couple of times in the league. Because the logic behind that is that we know Kazakhstan are not going to get to the Euros,
Okay.
and because of how bad they have France, Ukraine, all of that in their group. And we know that there's no Nations League. So instead of like splurging out on a manager,
Do you mean the World Cup, not the Euros, right?
yeah, World Cup. So we're gonna like give a youngish manager a bit of a chance, or manager, to see what he can do with the players, instead of just spending a lot of money on like a foreign manager because of how finances are over there. So that's the logic behind that. I hope it goes well. Kazakh football, I love it.
I like big up Kazakhstan.
Yeah, big up Kazakhstan for sure. Next one, Patrick, will go to you on this one. The Russian league would have been a top five league if it had stayed merged with other former Soviet nations. Now he says Ukraine only, but I feel like if we take all Soviet nations, do you agree with this, or do you think the league would have just been too big and too unruly to?
First, we'd have 20 teams
Yeah,
instead
probably.
of 16 that we have now. And yeah, I think knowing the stuff that goes on in the back room of a lot of these Soviet clubs, I think it would be a mess. There would be a shitload of corruption in that one Super League. It would be just utter. Yeah.
It would be a mess, honestly. Yeah, probably.
Would it be a top five? I think the level of competition would kind of drive it to. It would either drive it to be really good, the level of competition where you have a lot of top teams constantly competing. You have Shakhtar, Dynamo Kiev. There are current Russian clubs. Don't think any from the other Soviet leagues would pose an issue. Perhaps Astana, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you would have 20 big clubs in the league for sure, from all over the union, and it would be commercially very attractive because it's like a proper super league. But I would love to see it happen just through bands. Why not? But I don't know. Artem, what do you think? How would that go down?
I would honestly be so sick. Like, I was thinking about this yesterday and I was like, oh, that'd be super, super cool. Obviously, politically, it would be a bit of a yikes.
A bit of
But
big yikes.
assuming that like politics is out of the question, I think absolutely it would be a top five league, and I think it would be super attractive for players moving as well, because like a lot of players might not want to move to like even like a Rostov or something like that, but they might want to move to Kiev. They might want to move to places like that. So I think it would be super interesting. It would be absolutely amazing. It would give even cooler away days than there are now. And I think like culturally everything, like it would be so sick. Like if you had a little mini Champions League during the winter break.
Oh my God.
For all those countries, that would be sick.
That would be sick. I want to see it happen. There were talks of like Belarus merging with Russia as a whole. That would be as a country out. that'd be fun to see how Bate Borisov and them would do in Russia. Where it would be fun.
Yeah, I mean, like we know, it's politics will not allow it at the moment, but maybe in the future, if Russia and Ukraine can mend their friendship, like I like look, like for me, like I have so many Ukrainian friends, and like both me and them and everyone else, like we're just a bit sick of politics and all that kind of stuff. Like Russian people and Ukrainian people are brothers, always will be. It's the politics that drives these countries apart. So
for sure.
Hopefully in the future that'll change. But obviously I don't think that the league will happen either way.
Now you just spit some proper facts about politics there, and I love it because that's the same with India and Pakistan. Like it's the same country. You know, we know you like literally broke apart 70 years ago, but at its core, you're the same people. You were together for mad long. Even abroad, like in the UK or stuff, Indians and Pakistanis are friends. It's just in the countries themselves.
That's the thing. Like people like Indians and Pakistanis, like say in Ireland or like the UK or something, they'd be like, oh, like you're from the same part of the world as me.
Yeah, exactly.
Rather than a fuck you, like.
Exactly.
It's just you know how it goes. To be honest, like I'm of the opinion of like, you know, at the end of the day, like we're all kind like, of course, yeah, Ukrainians and Russians are closer like brothers than Russians would be to Germans or something like that. But like
we are all the same.
We're all people. We're all, you know.
We're all. Patrick, do you think we're all people?
Yeah, I think I talked about this in my private with you recently, where I don't see that super ultra nationalist. I am this, and thus I'm better than someone who is across that arbitrary line called a border that was drawn decades ago. And yeah, I think at the end of the day, we're all
the same. Exactly.
Yeah, like even for like Patrick, this is just another thing. Like I've noticed, like, you know, like it's the same. It's the same way. Like as in, like, you know, people from, I don't know. Does Kenya hate any country?
Yeah, there's a bit of an underlying conflict with, mostly political, with East African neighbors, Somalia, Uganda, and Tanzania. But on the ground,
Somalia's a whole different animal. But even then, even then, no, I'm only joking. I love the Somalis. Like you said, it's just borders. It's just like, you know, these people rule on this side of the border, and the people who live there tend to believe them, whether that's for their own will or just they don't know any better, you know.
It really is. Just stop all beef, man. Just stop beefing. Just be friends. Everyone just be friends. That's the knowledge we've kicked on this week's episode.
Well, you can beef people for what, like, like you're a Real fan, I'm a Barca fan, that kind of shit.
Exactly. But you can't kill each other over being a Real or Barca fan, which is, to be fair, it's essentially the same argument we're talking about. Going back to football, because this is a football podcast and we're almost 90 minutes in. Artem, are there too many Moscow region clubs?
No.
Why not?
Because Moscow is the biggest city in Europe. How many clubs do you expect there to be?
Is it?
Yes.
I'll take your word for it. No, but like London has a lot of clubs and we roll with it, so I don't know.
How many, what's the population of London?
Shit, London probably, I don't know, a lot. But I mean,
8 million or 9 million.
I feel like
Moscow is 12 million.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. Moscow's huge, like.
It is. I would be mad if like 9 clubs in the RPL are from Moscow, but I don't mind like a lot of clubs and they're scattered across the PFL and RPL and FNL. I don't mind that. And
no, like that's the thing. Like Moscow has like 10% of the population of Russia. Like
Which is
realistically,
all.
they have 10% of the clubs in Russia. It's just their
It
clubs
is.
just tend to be better. It's not their
Yeah,
fault.
it's not their
Plus,
fault,
it's a cool city. Who doesn't want to be in Moscow? I love Moscow.
of course. I love Moscow as well. Only been there once, but I want to go back.
I'll meet you there. It's
For
probably
sure.
halfway between me and you, to be honest. Actually, it's probably
It's
much
not
further from you.
much. It's like
What's the midway between me and you? Would you say it could actually be Mongolia?
I think it could be.
I'm looking it up.
I don't know. But in the meantime, Mahmood, big fan of ours, by the way. Mahmood, shout out Mahmood. What do you think of the RPL expanding to 18 clubs, Artem?
I'm not a fan of it, to be honest. I am of the opinion that there's already maybe 2 clubs that
Are dead.
never have a chance of staying up. Now, this season we thought that there was 2 clubs that never had a chance of staying up, and now they actually have a good chance of staying up. So I think 16 teams is a good amount. It gives us 30 games to the season. It's a nice round figure. Honestly, like, there's not much more to say about that. I think that 18 would be too many. I like the fact that there's always like one of the bigger clubs in the FNL. Like at the moment, we have Orenburg, we have Krasnodar down there. Like next season, undoubtedly, like we'll have some like Ufa or Tambov or one of them teams. It's like or Arsenal Tulla even. It's like oh shit, like they're down there. Like who are they going to replace when they come back up and things like that. So
that's true. That's pretty fair. Now, Ilya, of course, big fan of ours. He's asked a question of what the best samosa filling is. Artem, you know what a samosa is. I'm sure you do.
I got given one for free at college fair one time. It was just beautiful. Like
it wasn't it?
So nice. But I don't know what the fillings are. I don't know what the options even are.
Nah, see, Patrick, do you know what a samosa is?
Yeah.
You do, right?
Yeah.
What's the best samosa filling you think? Do you like it?
Spicy beef.
Spicy. Now I'm vegetarian, so I mean, but spicy beef is his answer. And by the way, Artem, there's lots of Indians in Kenya, so that's probably how that crossover happened. There's lots of Indians everywhere, honestly.
Okay, Hanu.
What?
I've looked it up. Do you want to take a quick guess about where the midpoint for me and you is? I don't know how this even exists because like it just seems like I'm way further away from there, but I think it's just because of the way the maps are distorted and stuff like that. Anyway, take a guess. I think you're going to be super happy with this.
I think, see, the way you said that makes me sound like it's in the stands or something, because that's only where I'd be super happy. Is it in I feel like it's in Saudi Arabia or something. I don't know.
No, it's in the stands.
Oh, well, it's in Kazakhstan.
It's not in Kazakhstan.
It's in Uzbekistan then.
It's in Uzbekistan, but can I tell you, like it's like so close to the border of so many places. Like it's almost like on the border of Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, and Tajikistan.
Oh, it's in that little gang business area.
It's in that little pocket. It's a place called Yangier in Uzbekistan.
We're going there.
Yeah, there's the thing I'm using is called Travel Map, and it's like it gives you the halfway points between 2 places, and then it searches you hotels for those places just in case you want to meet up. So
let's do that for you and Patrick.
I'll meet you there. Yeah.
This one?
Travelmap.com. MATH like.
Oh. That one.
I think you and Patrick could be a cooler one because yours is probably in the sea somewhere, so they're gonna have to choose a country. Whereas me and Patrick, it's probably just like Algeria or something.
Which one do I choose? Or do I just put 2 places?
It doesn't matter. Just name 2 places.
Kenya to. By the way, I hate America. I really do hate America because, like every city in the world, there's a knockoff in like Ohio or Idaho.
Oh, I know.
There's a
Texas.
Yeah, I mean, it's just Moscow all over the place. And
exactly. Where is the midway point, Anton? Do I click this?
Yeah, view map. See what happens.
Close enough.
Yeah,
Libya.
it's in Libya.
You know what? You know what? Go Libya. I have a few Libyan friends. We'll meet in Tripoli.
Meet in Tripoli. I don't even know if you're allowed to go there anymore. But
No, I don't think so. I think that there's a big few problems over there since the big man died.
This is basically a geopolitics podcast at this point, but it's the most uninformed and most casual geopolitics possible. Like we talked about, we talked about.
Imagine me and you talking about like actual like serious like political things, like fucking Trump kills like Husseini back in January 2020, and me and you're just like, that was not cool. That was not cool.
Exactly. In this vibe, of course, if we seriously want to, we could. But in this vibe, we're like, the big man, like Ramzan Kadyrov as well is like a chief down there. He's messing things up. Got sanctioned by the US.
Oh,
but yeah,
so funny.
Ilya, samosa fillings in India, you either have like potatoes with just mad spice in there, or you have there's just spice involved, and just put like any vegetable in there. There's ones with onions and stuff, but any of it is good.
I
And
love Indian food.
of course, you love
Love
Indian
Indian
food.
food.
Everyone loves Indian food.
I'm
But
like I'm tempted to order like a butter chicken or something. Oh,
what now?
yeah. It's like it's 9 p.m. over here. It's not like fucking 6 a.m. like it is over you.
It's not that bad, honestly. But that guys does it for this week's episode. Junio, first of all, thanks a lot for coming on. It's been an honor. Um, we'll have you back soon, of course. And yeah, thanks a lot for coming on. And tell the people your Twitter at again, or anything you'd want them to follow. Floor's yours.
Yeah, thanks. Before I close off, I think there is one question there which I think I have an answer to.
Is there?
The Uzbekistan. Third question. I think this happens in a lot of countries where you find the biggest city hosts the highest amount of clubs. Biggest or richest. Sometimes the biggest city is the richest city. Sometimes it's also the capital city. I think in Turkey you could say the same for Istanbul.
Yeah.
Not the capital, but it is
Essentially
has
it is.
15. It's a sixth of the population. A lot of people say there are quite a number of Istanbul clubs, far too many, according to some. I think we have 6 or 5 in the league this season.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it happens. And the other question was a league expansion, and I have never been a fan of league expansions. I think for Russia 16 is very, very ideal. A lot of countries could do it. League reductions. Turkey has 21 clubs this
isn't
season.
it?
Yeah. It really isn't fun at all. It takes away from, you have a lot of
dead clubs,
dead rubber teams. It's 16 is perfect as it is for Russia, in my opinion.
what, 21, that was always really weird to me. I'm sorry to because it's what, 4 teams or 6 teams, 4 teams will get relegated, won't they? And 3 will come up.
Yeah, 4 teams go down to make it 17, and then
3 will come up.
3 will come up.
Yeah, that's really weird. But yeah, go on.
Is it? I think, I'm not sure if it's 3 or 1, because if we usually have 18 teams in Turkey, so it would make sense if only 1 came up. I'm not really 100% sure on that, but
yeah, I think I don't know. I think I heard somewhere, but 1 coming up would just be overkill. Underkill, honestly, not overkill, but that'd be funny.
Closing. Thanks for having me on the pod. It's something we've talked about for a while, since a few weeks after we first followed each other, I think.
It's been in the making. It's definitely been in the making.
I was unavailable for a really long time. I was out of the capital city, and I think being back, I'd be more than happy to come on to more episodes in the future.
Of course. Yeah. Shout out Nairobi as well. Why not? Good city. Never been there, but I'm sure it's a good city.
It is.
Artem, would you like to do the honors again?
Yeah, like Hanu said, Junho, pleasure to have you on. You're always welcome to come back on. Just drop us a message. And yeah, so everybody listening, gold medal on SportRex. You already know what to do. Like on YouTube, comments on Twitter, Facebook. We don't have Facebook. What am I talking about?
Facebook.
Whatever. Like literally, just talk to us because sometimes we get lonely. So thanks a million again for listening, and see you all next week.